Today is December 21st, 2020, and this video isn't going to be like any other video that I've made on this channel. This video is going to be a different kind of video, because in this video, I'm not talking about any sort of political election or any sort of political event. I'm also not talking about COVID-19, I'm not even talking about future predictions of COVID-19, but in this video, I will instead be talking about an astronomical event that is currently going on, that will go on for the next week or two, that has been going on for a few days, I would say, but this is a very rare event that only happens once every several hundred years or so. There's no set pattern to how often this astronomical event happens, but it is a very rare event nonetheless. But basically, what is there tonight? It's especially there tonight, but it's not just tonight. You can also see it tomorrow, day after, for the next week or two, probably until like early January. You can see it. By the second week of January, it's gonna be like basically impossible to see it. But today was the best day to see it, December 21st, 2020. If you live in the West Coast, if you live in an earlier time zone, there's still time for you to see this. But unfortunately, if you live in the East Coast time zone, you'll have to wait till tomorrow to see it, because it is best to see this event right after sunset takes place. And for most people watching this video, this has already happened on December 21st. Now, you can see this event tomorrow on December 22nd. It won't be quite as good because today was the peak of the event, but you can still watch it tomorrow and it'll still look pretty nice. But basically, the event was Jupiter and Saturn being very close in the sky together. In the sky, if you could look at both of them and they were right next to each other, basically. In reality, they're like billions of miles away, but in the sky, they look like they were right next to each other. And they almost never get this close to each other. The last time this sort of event happened was over 700 years ago, almost 800 years ago, in fact, in around 1226. I think that was the year. It was sometime in the early 1200s that this sort of event happened last. Okay, I found the exact date. It was March 4th, 1226, yeah. So that was the last time Jupiter and Saturn ever got this close to each other in the sky. And the next time that this sort of event is going to happen, where they get this close approximately, is in 2080, March of 2080, so that's 60 years away. I'm going to be an old man by then. Hopefully, I'm not dead by then, but I'll be an old man by then. And that's 60 years away, so if you can, even if you can't see it tonight, try looking at this event in the sky in the next few days, preferably by the end of this week. So this week ends December 26th, so it'd probably be better for you to see it by then, because afterwards it's going to be a lot harder to see it. The two planets in the night sky are not that high, so it's better if you get a relatively clear view. I looked at the altitude; it's only approximately 12 degrees above the horizon, so if you live in a cluttered area, it's gonna be hard to see these two planets. But it's better to get to a relatively open area. Even if you live in a cluttered area, you might be able to find some space in that area where things are relatively open and you can see 12 degrees above the horizon. So it's 12 degrees above the horizon, but it's also in the southwest direction. To be exact, its direction is approximately 236 degrees. So that means it is southwest, but it's a bit more west than it is south, if that makes sense. Because southwest exact would be 225 degrees, but it's a bit more west than that since it's 236 degrees. So that's the direction you have to look in. 236 degrees and approximately 12 degrees in altitude. That is 12 degrees altitude is like where it's at right after sunset, but if you go a bit later, it's going to be lower in the night sky. So if you want to look at this tomorrow, look at it approximately an hour after sunset. Look in the southwest direction at approximately 236 degrees. That's its azimuth, as the term is called. And then its altitude, how high it is in the night sky. If you look at it around an hour after sunset, then it'll be approximately 12 degrees above the horizon. Its altitude's approximately 12 degrees. Right after sunset, or not right after, but an hour after sunset, it's around 12 degrees. But if you wait longer and longer in the night, like 2 hours after sunset, then it's going to be lower and lower in the horizon, and eventually it gets to a point where it's basically impossible to see. Now, if you want to see these two astronomical bodies in the sky, if you want to see these two planets, I would recommend that you at least bring binoculars, if not a telescope. Now, you absolutely can see these two planets just with your eyes. They're bright enough in the sky to where you can see them in the sky, but you won't be able to discern as many details in the two planets. They're just going to look like stars to you, basically. They're just going to look like bright, shining things. But if you bring binoculars or even a telescope, you can see the two planets a lot more clearly. Now, personally, I don't have binoculars or a telescope, so I mean, I have a telescope, but it's not open. I didn't feel like opening it. I just decided to go out like an hour ago. I went outside in my neighborhood. I looked in the sky, and I'm honestly not even 100% sure if I saw the two planets, but I'm 99% sure I did. I was looking in the proper direction, 236 degrees, and I was looking at the proper altitude, around 12 degrees above the horizon. And if you look at the two planets in the sky without any binoculars or anything, just with your eyes, they're gonna look like one. You can't really tell the two planets apart. That's how close they are to each other. They look like one singular planet that's extra bright, but trust me, they are two separate planets. They're not gonna look like that, especially if you don't have binoculars or a telescope, but when you look at it, it's gonna look like one bright shining body in the sky. But they are two planets just very close to each other, and that's what makes this event so rare and so amazing. The fact that they're that close in the sky to where they look like at first only one planet and not two, one extra bright planet. So if you haven't gotten the chance to see this event tonight, I would recommend that you go to tomorrow. You can really go anytime this week, in the upcoming week, and you'll still be able to see the two planets fine. But then the longer you wait, the less significant this event is because the further apart the planets will be. Over time, these planets are going to get further and further apart. Tonight was its peak because they were closer than ever together. Yesterday they weren't as close as today. Tomorrow they won't be as close to each other as they were today. So today was the best day to see it, but tomorrow will also be a really good day to see it if you haven't already seen it. So if you're watching this video and you haven't seen these two planets in the night sky yet tonight, I would strongly recommend try taking a look at them tomorrow.